Welcome along everyone to another Grounded Tech video. I am Dan and today we are talking whether you should buy, whether you may want to buy a Pixel 7 over a Pixel 7 Pro. And actually this is a very similar video to what I did last year for the Pixel 6 series. I spoke about why I was choosing the Pixel 6 over the Pixel 6 Pro. And indeed I did. And I actually found that there were some benefits to that. And then there was also one downside to that that I didn't foresee because I didn't foresee me using that particular feature on different phones and then ending up really liking it. So we're going to talk about that. But first off, let's start with the display. So on the Pixel 7, we've got a 1080p, 90 Hz flat display, and that's at 6.3 inches. So very, very similar to last year's Pixel 6. The only difference really is that the display size has been reduced by 0.1 inches. So we're down to 6.3 instead of 6.4. That should help for people that found the Pixel 6 to be a little bit too big, considering it was the lower model, and the Pixel 6 Pro being even bigger. You're going to have a very similar difference with the 7 and the 7 Pro this year, with the 6.3 inch for the 7 and then the 6.7 inch for the Pro. But why would you want the 7 over the Pro? Because the Pro has a 1440p or Quad HD, 120Hz LTPO display, which means it can drop the refresh rate down very low to conserve battery life. Why would you necessarily want the 7s over the 7 Pro? Well, there's a couple of reasons. You might want a flat display because the Pro's display is curved. That's something I don't like very much. I'm not a fan of curved displays. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like that as well. So maybe that's a reason you go for the 7. And also, having the higher refresh rate and the higher resolution on the Pro isn't really that much of a benefit to a lot of people. I found 90 Hz perfectly fine. I'm a techie. I love all the bells and whistles. But to be perfectly honest, I found the Pixel 6 to be fantastic. With 90 Hz, 1080p was not a problem. So a big reason for people buying the Pro over the 7 this year would be the cameras. So on the camera front, we've got a main sensor on both phones at 50 megapixels, the same as last year. We've got the same 12 megapixel ultra wide. The 7 doesn't have a telephoto, whereas the Pro does, which is the same as last year. But the telephoto has had a little bit of an upgrade this year as well. Apparently it's going from a 4x to a 5x, still 48 megapixels. I might find that a little bit tricky. I think it might just be a little bit too long a focal length for me to use it as portraits, for portraits. But we'll have to see. We'll test it and see how it goes. So for me this year, I actually want the Pro. Whereas last year I said I was getting the 6 over the Pro. I'm going for the Pro this year, simply because I have got so used to using a telephoto on my Xperias as well. I have to have a telephoto now. And I've got my wedding coming up in March. To be honest, I think the telephoto on the 7 Pro is going to be probably the lens I use the most at that wedding. I mean, you probably think, well, maybe you shouldn't be taking photos because you'll have a photographer for that and you should be focusing on your wife. It's a fair point. Noted. And I've got to mention as well the front-facing cameras. We've had an upgrade on the front-facing camera, especially for the 7. Because the 6 last year actually got a downgraded to selfie cam compared to the Pro. This year, both phones have the same. So that's a nice upgrade. Both will have 4K video recording on those front cameras as well, which is fantastic. And yeah, that's it comes down to the telephoto, basically. Whether you need that lens or not. If you need it, you get the Pro. If you don't, you can get the 7. And you can still zoom in with the 7 on the main lens. Apparently it's got like a 8x super res zoom. And that will probably suffice for a lot of people if you just want 2 to 3x magnification on your photos. Shouldn't be too big a problem. So there's that there as well, but obviously you won't get that depth of field and those nice portrait style photos. The Pixel 6 last year tended to get better battery life than the Pro, and that was something that I kind of expected to happen, even with the LTPO tech in the Pro model. So I can foresee that happening again this year. I think we're still going to have that same issue. You're going to get all the bells and whistles on the Pro. You've also got to think that you've got the things like increased RAM as well, which might not take up much power, but it still has an effect. And I think, yeah, if you want the better battery life, the 7 is probably going to be the better bet. And something that links in with this as well is the size of the phone. So, as I say, 6.3 inches on the 7, 6.7 on the Pro. You might not like big phones. And admittedly, even last year, the 6 was a big phone. The 7's been shrunk down slightly, so that might be a little bit more manageable for some people. And if you want that smaller display, smaller phone, smaller footprint, then the 7 is going to be the better option of the two. Unfortunately, we don't really have much choice in terms of colours this year. I kind of feel like the colours are a little bit more muted. There's not really as much choice per se. We've got basically black and white, and then on the 7 we've got a lemongrass colour, which is sort of a yellowy, very nice actually. I really like that. It's a shame it's not on the Pro, but on the Pro we get a hazel, and it's quite a nice looking phone, nice colour. But I don't see that as a major factor as to why you might want to buy one or the other. It was for me a little bit last year because I really liked the Seafoam on the Pixel 6, which is what I ended up getting in the end. But, you know, if there's one of those colours in particular that you really like, then you might want to get that phone. But I don't see the colours really making too much of a difference this year. And lastly, probably one of the most important factors is the price. Now, the rumours are that the 7 is going to start at the same price as the 6 did, which is $599, or £599 as well. And that's a cracking price. The Pro last year started at $849. Now, that's a big difference. That's $250 difference. Do you feel that the features of the Pro, the extra features, are worth having over the 7, $250? Because it's a steep ask. I mean, you've got to consider you're getting a nicer display, you're getting the telephoto camera, you're getting a bit more RAM, which doesn't really make any difference. And that's about it, really. You know, slightly better display and stuff, but like, doesn't really matter too much. Is it really worth it? That's a question only you can answer. And I would very much like you to let me know down in the comments whether you are considering getting a 7 or 7 Pro, or even if you're looking at getting a 6 or a 6 Pro, because let's face it, there's not a massive amount of difference, and they can be had for quite the bargain these days. In fact, I have one of those bargains coming in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that. By the way, if you found this video helpful at all, please leave a like and comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Pixel content. This channel is focused around Pixel content. There will be a lot more coming. Until the next one, folks, stay grounded. I'll see you soon.